Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Check us out, y'all. The dope game in the penitentiary is not as simple as some people want to make it out to be. I've sold a lot of drugs in the penitentiary back in my day. I'm glad to be out of that, done with that. But I wanted to share something with you about the difficulties of the game in here. Something that you might not realize. Something that a young dude that I knew back in the day, something that he realized early on, so he had to figure out a way to secure his down. Now, he wasn't affiliated, and that makes it worse in here. If you want to play the game and you not have somebody on your team, you know what I'm saying? But he had somebody on his team, but you're going to be surprised at who was on his team. This story is about this young dude named Tracy, right? And Tracy, he wasn't even from Tennessee. He was from outside the state. It's not important what state he was from, but he was from outside the state. He was a cool dude, smooth dude. He knew how to get his bread. He had his own pipeline. His girl was shaking the spot for him, taking care of the business. And he even bought his own pack back. I'm talking about, look, he kept everything in-house, literally. Literally. He did it all himself. And he had his own set of customers, never went outside of that, didn't shake up enough noise to cause anybody to really pay too much attention to him. But Tracy knew one thing. He knew one thing. He knew that he had to have somebody, just in case, just for that day when it might happen, he had to have somebody on his team. And he did. He was an officer. Yeah, you heard me right. Tracy had this officer. Tracy was making decent money. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere from $300 to $500 per week. Just shaking the spot just a little bit. It's enough for him and his girl. You do the math. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He's making about upwards of $2,000 a month. And back in the day, that was decent. That was decent because it wasn't enough to interfere with what everybody else had going on the compound. But it was enough to make sure that him and his girl was straight. She had a job out there, so she was doing her own thing, so she really didn't need his money. But any extra money would help, especially when they were putting money up for him when he got out. But in here, he had to make sure that if something were to happen, that he would be protected from both sides of it. Let me break that down for you. See, now, being in the game in here, you got to worry about the police, and you also have to worry about the people in blue. You got to worry about them because a lot of people in here don't respect the hustle. They see people that's hustling, getting money, selling drugs as prey. Yeah, you heard me right. Robbers see people that's selling drugs as prey because they'll let you go make all the money and then they want to come take it. And if they got to take it by force, they have no problem with that. They have no problem with that. That's how it goes in here. So if you're not affiliated, you really got to be careful. And then you got to worry about the police. Because the police, if they bump down on you, you might go back to court with another case. You're going to the hole for sure. You got to write up. You got to fine. And then depending on how much you lost, you really might not be able to recoup and get back. Because sometimes the police will sit back, excuse me, and watch you get your bread. They know something is going on. They might not know for sure of what's going on, but they know something is going on. They'll wait. Then they'll bump down on you, and you just happen to be done selling the whole pack or almost the whole pack, and you got all your bread put up, and they come get everything. And then they keep that. They keep that. Somehow, mysteriously, when you get your write-up, it might be half of the amount. You know what I'm saying? That they confiscated. The other half, I don't know what they're doing. It's going on beer money. I don't know what they're doing. So you have to make sure that you can be protected from both of it. And when you're affiliated, you most definitely don't worry about no robbers. Because if they come mess with any one of the guys, then you already know what it is. We go hard. This is how the business was back in the day. And then when it comes to the police, we got so many buffers between them being able to get to where the money is and the dope is that nobody really worried about them. You feel what I'm saying? But Tracy was really, in my opinion, smarter than all of us. He cut through all the red tape. He had nurtured this friendship with this particular officer. And they kicked it every day. Now, ain't no secrets in the penitentiary. Now, this officer had to have heard whispers of Tracy getting his bread. But the way Tracy carried himself is like, is he? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But he was so low key with it, it was a respectable hustle. So he nurtured this friendship with this particular officer. And one day, he said to the officer, he said, man, if you ever need anything, man, holler at me, man, I got you. And as life does, things were going on in this officer's life that one day he needed a little help financially. And he didn't go to Tracy asking for money. He was just talking about what he was going through on the streets and how things wasn't working out and this, that, and the third. His girlfriend is tripping and he might have to move out and get his own place and all of that old kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So Tracy said, man, if you need any money, I got you. So the officer at first was reluctant. He didn't want to deal like that. You know what I'm saying? He knew that he wasn't supposed to cross that line because he had been trained not to. Plus, you know what I'm saying, he didn't want to get involved in all of that. He could lose his job and make his whole situation worse. But when life happens, y'all, all people, have a tendency to say, well, just this once. So that's what he did. So he told Tracy that he needed about $250. That ain't nothing to Tracy. So he said, look, do you want it now or do you want it when you leave here? How you want it? So the officer was nervous about accepting it in the penitentiary. So he said, is there any way you can get it to me on the streets? He said, yeah. He said, here, call this number. So he gave the officer his girlfriend's number. And then Tracy gets on the phone and he calls his girlfriend. He said, look, my friend is going to call you. Give him what he asked for. She said, oh, no problem. Didn't even question it. So when the officer calls, he keeps it 100. He calls and he tells her about the conversation that he had with Tracy, and she gives him $250, no questions asked. And then she goes her way, he goes his. The officer comes in the next day thanking him, telling him, man, he'll get it back to him. And Tracy told him, look, I'll tell you what, you keep that. Now, he wasn't popping no game on it. But he just saw an opportunity. He said, you keep that. So the officer's like, look, I'm not bringing you any drugs. I'm not doing any of that. He said, I'm going to pay you your money back. He said, no, I don't want you to bring me anything. I just want you to make sure that I stay straight. And he said, explain that to me. What does that look like? Make sure you stay straight. He said, well, if somebody comes messing with me, trying to take what belongs to me, I tell you who that is, you get them and you lock them up or you harass them. You feel what I'm saying? You my muscle. And the officer was like, well, I can do that. That's my job anyway. You know what I'm saying? And now he put the spin on it. But he said, I can do that. He said, also, if my name comes up in those circles that you run in as an officer, you kind of push back against it. Tell him I'm not that dude. Tell him I'm a good guy. Now, this is where the officer had a problem because he was like, man, I don't know. I don't want to be getting caught up in that. He said, but look, just make sure that I'm straight with them too. See, Tracy downplayed it a little bit. Now he's starting to manipulate the friendship. So the officer's looking at him. He's like, I can do that. So he does. He agrees to all the things that Tracy wants him to do. Now, Tracy has solidified from A to Z all the things that he calculated as being a drug dealer in the penitentiary that he needed to do. His girl bought the pack in, he bought the pack back himself, he had a select clientele, and he had protection from the police. But again, In the penitentiary, man, you can never predict from day to day, from moment to moment, actually, what's going to happen. One minute, everything can be fine. The next minute, boom, the bomb goes off and everything is in disarray. But Tracy was smarter than the average bear. He knew that things were eventually going to go south. So he did like the squirrels. He had things put away, and he made sure he had somebody to protect him when it went down. But do you remember when I told you that robbers in here see drug dealers as prey? Well, okay, it's Tracy's turn. It's Tracy's turn to be the prey. It was these two dudes that, they had a reputation for setting people up, you know what I'm saying, on saying they wanted to buy a little this or buy a little of that. And then when they get ready to make the exchange, then they rob the dude. But see, they couldn't get to Tracy like every while because Tracy had a select group of clientele and he never went outside there. But what happened was, is that one of Tracy's clients, I'm going to call them clients, right? One of his people that buy drugs from him introduced these two suckers to Tracy. Told him that they were straight, this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. Why in the hell would he do that? Why would he introduce these two people that, now this is somebody that's been buying from Tracy for a while. Why would he introduce these two individuals to the game? Simple. Jealousy and envy. You never should underestimate the next man's greed. This individual was looking at Tracy. And Tracy is a smooth dude. Like I told you, he's a smooth dude. He takes care of his business and he keeps everything low-key and to himself. He never went over the amount that he would sell to his select group of people, and he never went under it. He stayed in his lane. He was very disciplined. But this individual wanted Tracy to give him more. He wanted more. And he said he couldn't do more. For him to do more, his girl would have to bring in more, and that would disrupt the flow. She could only handle so much, and Tracy could only handle so much without putting somebody else in his business. So it is what it is. But this dude got pissed off at Tracy, so now he's trying to find a way. He's trying to find a way to get at him. So when he introduces these two individuals to Tracy, Tracy is non-responsive. He really ain't talking to him. Because he's looking at dude like, in a non-verbal way, saying, man, why are you doing this? You already know what the business is. So Tracy's looking at the situation like, man, something's going to happen. Because he knows about these two guys, too. He's heard about them. So now they know he hustling. Even though he turned them down and said, man, I ain't doing nothing. But they know he hustles because dude had put them in the business. So now they just stop. They start to watch. Now they're waiting. First of all, see, robbers, and here's what robbers do. Let me tell you what robbers do in here. Robbers will tell themselves, if you don't sell them nothing, they'll tell them, oh, so he think he better than me. See, they got to talk themselves into doing it. They have to give themselves a bogus-ass reason to disrupt somebody else's life. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what they did. Okay, we're going to show him. He ain't nothing. He ain't better than us. All because he didn't want to do business with them. All because he was staying in his own lane. And that's how it is in the penitentiary. You got to deal with all these different personalities. You got to almost be a psychiatrist to deal with these folks in here. For real. Therapy 101 is penitentiary, y'all. I'm telling you now. It all goes down in here. You got all kind of different personalities, all kind of different understandings of the world, all different types of morals and values that don't mean nothing because they're all attached to selfishness. And that's what he had to deal with. So this is what Tracy did. He went to his partner. He told his friend, he said, look, I'm going to have a problem out of these two. So the officer went and looked them up, see who they are. And he saw that their jacket was, they robbing people. They setting up drug boys. And they go get them. So he said, what do you want me to do? And keep in mind, Tracy's a low-key dude. One man. But he got this ace in the hole that nobody else had, not even gang members. I'm telling you now. So he told him, he said, look, man, they need to go. Before it gets too late and they do something, they need to go. So the officer said, I just can't snatch him up. It has to be something. I can't just do that. It's got to be a reason to snatch him up. So Tracy tells him, said, look, what I'm going to do, man, I'm going to sell them some weed, and then you go get them. You go bust them when they have it. Done deal. So Tracy gets at him and tells him, look, I got something for y'all, man. And he sells it to him. Now, they think that he's fallen into their trap. They think he done went and thought about it and got scared. He know he better break it on off because, he done heard about them. He done went and checked. He done heard about it. But that's not what it is, see, because, he's really trying to knock them out. They don't have a clue. They're being so arrogant about it. They're not seeing, well, all of a sudden he changed his mind. Now he wants to sell us something. They're not looking at it like that. They're not looking at it like that because they're not estimating that Tracy is that type of dude. They think he's weak. So they are actually underestimating. They get the little weed, they go back there in the cell, they laughing, joking, and kicking it, got it laid out all over the table, talking about Tracy like he's some kind of sucker, this, and that. And guess what happened? The knock on the door come. Open up, cell search. It's Tracy's partner with another officer. He brought another officer with him, so, it looks legit. He didn't do it himself. He tells the officer, look, I got some information that these guys got some weed. Let's go. And they went. Shift commander's waiting on them. They bust in. They got him. Both of them. They in there smoking weed. They got weed on the table. Put your hands behind your back. Handcuff them. They get the evidence, put it in the bag, take them straight to the hole, hit them with the write-up. They're done. Now, they don't know what to think. Did he set us up? What did we do? This, that. Now, they are afraid to break the code. You know what I'm saying? Meaning they don't want to tell on Tracy because if they tell on Tracy, then they're going to be labeled snitches. So they trapped in the game, by the game, can't say nothing about what they think happened. You feel what I'm saying? Because they're scared of what's going to happen to them. They live by that. And that's another thing about that code. That code will trap you to where you are limited in what you can really do when you get done in by somebody. You got to accept it. Take that lick and keep it moving. You feel what I'm saying? It's part of the game, as they say. So now they land in the hole. All of a sudden, after 3 or 4 days, because they get 10 days in the hole. After 3 or 4 days, reclassification coordinator come over and say, look here, y'all are being reclassed and sent to such and such prison. One going one way, the other one going the other. They're getting split up. Oh, yeah, Tracy don't play. He don't play. And why am I telling you this story, y'all? Why am I telling you this story? Because in the penitentiary, when you think you know what's going on, you don't. In life, out there in the streets, when you think you know what's going on, you don't. And I hate to say what I'm about to say, y'all. I hate to say what I'm about to say. But the majority of the people in the game, when they talk to you about honor and a code and all of these types of things, that honor, that code, that integrity that they want to preach, it only extends as far as it is useful to them. You understand what I'm saying? When it's not useful to them anymore, morals, values, integrity, all of those types of things, they become inconvenient. And they toss them to the side. Just like they'll toss you to the side. Keep that in mind, y'all. Quit participating in the genocide of your own people. You see, this has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.